Oh, Father, who is that old man?
Who? Okay, I'm going to tell you a story about him. A long time ago, there was a beggar from Gumwang, a village of North Chungcheong province.
No, I need some leftovers. Could I have some?
He usually went out to beg door to door when the sun went down to get some leftovers after dinner time. What he wanted was to have a bowl of cold rice. He never asked for old clothes or money. He was pleased with just leftover rice. Sometimes he picked up some fallen laundry from the clothesline and hung them back. He also took care of other beggars who were dying on the street. With his care, many people were rescued from death. That's why he was called an angel. I've come to know about him after I came to the village as a priest. Some village folk called him a nice beggar, but most people thought that there was no place for beggars in their village. As a result, the beggars who stayed under the bridge of Muguk Stream were driven out of the village.
Hey, there's a beggar. Look at him.
During the day, he spent his time for picking up broken pieces of glass and debris around the playground. He liked the children very much, and he didn't want them getting hurt.
Be careful of these pieces, boys.
A month has passed since I came to the new church. One day I saw a strange shadow in the distance. It looked like a shadow of the saint. As I got closer, I found it was the beggar's shadow. I followed him for a while, not knowing what I was doing. Finally, I arrived at a dugout and went inside.
What?
A number of beggars lived together in that dugout. Some people were mentally disabled. Some were physically disabled. And there were others who were unable to move themselves. The beggar asked for leftovers from the villagers to give to those people. What's more, he even shared his portion with others and fed the sick.
Oh, Lord.
He was also a disabled man himself, but he managed to feed the others. How amazing it was. Think about how hard it was that night. I couldn't sleep at all.
If you're able to ask someone to help you, it's the divine grace of God.
I asked the village people about him. His real name was Gyungnak Che, but when he was young, he was called Guidong, which means a precious son. He was married and lived a happy life before the country was occupied by the Japanese government. Guidong, the precious son, was drafted by the Japanese military authorities. He was forced to work at a coal mine. He couldn't stand the hard work, so he tried to escape from it. Unfortunately, he was captured and severely tortured. His parents grieved at the loss of their son and became addicted to opium. This wrecked their life, and his wife also disappeared.
Oh, no!
Finally, he came back to his hometown, but there was no one waiting for him. Since then, he began to live under the bridge with the other beggars, because he didn't have someone to depend upon.
Oh dear.
Later, the country regained its independence. There was still chaos for some time. The Korean War broke out, and the country suffered a series of huge changes. During those periods, Guidong kept going out to get some food for the other beggars. I wonder what I could do for them. I found 1,300 won in my pocket. With that money, I could buy a bag of cement to make bricks. Though it was a small amount of money, I tried to buy things which would build a house for the beggars. Some people from the church helped me. However, this project didn't proceed as planned. The head of the beggars came to the church to threaten people to upset construction. One day, some village people came to me and complained about the construction.
Are you going to gather all the beggars in Korea? How dare you build such a thing?
Let's say you have nothing to eat and nowhere to stay. What if I build a house for you? What would you say then? I asked.
Well,
We would probably appreciate
Appreciate that.
They went out quietly and never came to bother me again.
Wow, Father, that's great!
Now people called this house the House of Love. But it was full of hatred at that time. When the beggars got drunk, they often fought amongst each other. They didn't know how to show love to others because they had never received it before. What do you think they needed?
Love will be the best present for them.
Yes, you're right. I promised God that I would devote myself to the poor beggars. One day, I had a strange experience while I was driving to Cheongju. All of a sudden, there was the River Jordan in front of my car. I found a dying old man on the bridge. He was drunk and had bloodstains all over his body. He even stunk badly due to the excrement on his clothes, but I didn't care. I led him to my car, then I heard the voice from the sky.
I'm so glad that you saved my beloved son. For the rest of your life, devote your life to the poor people. I'll help you if you do.
Since then, homeless and sick people have come to the House of Love from everywhere. Many volunteers visit here to help us. Flower Village was originated from the love of many people. Gui Dong-tae won the grand prize from the Catholic Church in 1986. No one called him a beggar anymore. He wanted to spend the prize money to build a new house for the poor. A young man was able to get an eyesight operation thanks to Guidong's donation when he died in January 1990. I'd like to believe that he still sees this world through the young man's eyes. He dedicated his life to the poor people.
Wow.
The Lord taught us how to love others through a beggar, and we were able to make the Flower Village. Now a lot of people visit the Flower Village to learn this love. Now, I'm living as a farmer who works at the garden of the Lord. We're deeply indebted to God for His happiness, aren't we?
It was a great pleasure that Quidong Che could help the beggars for 40 years. The true meaning of love was derived from the relationship between Friar O and Quidong Che, which has been repeated by people in Flower Village throughout history. The spirit will never perish in the future, but remain for generations to come.